Welcome to Second Listen Saturday on the Parenting Roundabout podcast, where we share some fun moments from a past episode for your weekend listening pleasure. Look for new episodes every Monday through Friday.
We hope this podcast won't disappoint you or be disrespectful towards you, and we hope you will listen and be respectful towards us. Because we are talking about what, Catherine? What's our first topic today?
So, kids and disappointment. Yes, since I'm someone that has kids that play sports, that means facing disappointment a lot. Learning to deal with it is one of those air quote life lessons that people are always saying sports are good for. But, in the moment, it's really not very fun helping your kids through it. So we thought we would talk today about how we handle this, or maybe don't. Whether, it can be school, it can be sports, it can be, boys who are being annoying. What do you do? In my case, it's, we are pretty sure that luge camp is no more.
Update us, Catherine. What happened?
And, it's one of those things where we didn't really want it to go any further than it did, because then we'd have to make a really big, scary decision about whether to keep doing it. And because it would have required quite a lot of, life changes and disruption. So, we were sort of hoping if he doesn't get chosen, then we won't have to decide. So, and that seems to be what happened, although we don't have the official word from the luge folks. But anyway, I haven't told him yet because he is going to be disappointed, even though he has pretty much come to the conclusion that we did, that if he was invited to do it, he probably wouldn't want to.
Oh, okay.
Still nice to be asked.
Right. It would have been nice to be asked. And I think that's it. He would love to be able to know that he was selected, and even if he decided not to do it. So we'll have to deal with that soon. And I don't know how it's going to go.
Does your daughter get real disappointed when her team doesn't do well?
She does sometimes for skating. It's hard because it's such a subjective sport. And so it's very easy to be like, well, those judges are crazy. And, and that's not really a good life lesson either. So it's tough. I mean, it was tough because for several years on her skating team, they were very good and they did really well. And then they had a couple years of not so good. So that's hard. That's hard. It was hard kind of slipping back. So. Right. I don't know. But my daughter, she's pretty good about letting it roll off her back. I mean, she has friends who skate, but they don't compete because they just don't enjoy it. And
it's a lot of pressure on it.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure, and especially if you're competing as a soloist. And, I never played sports, so I don't have a lot of frame of reference for this, but sometimes these girls, I'm like, what are you even doing here? If you're not competing, what are you working toward? Because I think if you're going to put in the time, I guess there's testing and there's other things you can do, but I don't know. So.
Somewhere along the line, you're going to have to compete against somebody if you want to be doing it anywhere, even if you just want to do it as a performance thing.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, with my daughter, luckily, she faces it more, but she handles it well. With my son, he doesn't face it as much, but he also takes it harder. So he
that's rough.
He's now playing lacrosse, which is what a lot of hockey players seem to do when they're not playing hockey, and he's not getting as much playing time, and he's not used to that. His hockey team was small, and his coaches were really good about keeping kids rotating in all the time, and with lacrosse, they're a little more focused on the better people getting more time. So it's It's hard. I don't know. What about you, Nicole, with tennis and things like that?
Man, so my son, he handles disappointing situations probably like me, where he gets super bummed out for a period of time, and then we'll gradually come to terms with it. So he works through it. He's only done one individual sport in his life where he's had to compete and pass tests, and he was younger and he was successful at it. And then when he was older, he was on a team, so he had his team for support. Now he doesn't really do anything solo that requires any sort of competition, although he is hoping to get into med school in the next couple of years. So we'll see how he deals with that. My daughter, on the other hand, I didn't realize it until this year. I mean, I always kind of knew she has a very different personality than I do. And she's been playing tennis for years and years and has been playing on the girls' tennis team. And last year was an okay season. It was her first season, so we didn't expect, a lot of, I guess,
superstardom,
wins and fanfare. Yeah, exactly. And then this year, it was a terrible season for her. Just circumstances. She hurt herself. There were some new girls that came to the team that took up spots.
Oh.
And we thought she was doing remarkably well handling all this stress. Well, it turns out she was like falling to pieces inside and was so distraught and upset. And we didn't realize it until the very end. And I feel so bad because she kept it inside for all those months. And then finally she just imploded.
Aw, poor baby.
Yeah. So we need to be, and she's going through some stuff right now, and, my dog's into the garbage. Okay. So
I was wondering what that was.
She's going through some stressors right now where she seems fine on the outside. Like, I'm okay, Mom, and I can deal with it. I'm fine. It's okay. And I worry that the other shoe's going to drop, so to speak, in the next little while. So we have to be really careful with her, I think, is my realization as a parent as she gets older, is that she'll just take it, internalize it, and then all of a sudden implodes.
Yeah.
Whereas my son is much more, okay, this is really sad. I feel horrible. I'm going to lay in bed for 2 days. And then I'm going to get up and move on.
That is so much healthier.
So, yeah,
I heard a little snippet of an interview with Solange, Beyonce's sister, and she was saying something like that, like how when she was younger, her mother would give them like 2 days of wallowing, and then they had to get up. It was like, okay, you had your moment. Like, I gave you that, and I think you deserved it. I think that was a good strategy, but it's over now.
Yeah. Whoa.
Sorry, it's
Is everybody still there?
I'm here. I'm sorry. The dog is working through her issues right now. I'm not paying attention to her.
She's disappointed that you're not paying attention to her.
Yes, I apologize. Okay. So, Terry, how about you?
Yeah, I was thinking what you were just saying about, taking the time to acknowledge the disappointment and wallow in it a little bit and then move on. Catherine, I was thinking about the other night on Dancing with the Stars with Simone, where she was sort of expected to be smiling through these really discouraging comments. And there's been a lot of talk about how she was scowling and isn't that awful and she should be a good sport. And it's like, here's a perfect example of, you know what? This stuff is not fun to hear. Why does she have to act like it's fine? And why was nobody saying to Bonner, hey, buddy, how come you're not smiling as they tear your guts out here? It's women are expected to just push it down and smile and take the high road and not show it. And then at some point, eventually you do always have to deal with it. And the longer you wait, the harder it is. Really, maybe you need to just tell those judges to
lay off.
Well, I can't say it enough. But you need to give them the, stink eye. So my problem with disappointment has never really been so much my kids' disappointment as my huge overinvestment in everything they do. And so I am disappointed to the point of agonizing around the house over things that they've already forgotten about or never really cared that much in the first place, you know? And that's a problem. Your dog is feeling me, Nicole. All right. And, you know, I think we've told this, I know we've told the story here before of my mother lying on a couch with a wash rag over her eyes out of disappointment inflicted upon me. And I was supposed to get a part in a play, and I came home and she said, "Did you get the part?" And I said, "Oh no, but John asked me out, so I'm really happy." And I was all happy and excited, and she's still processing that I didn't get a part in the play, like for the next week. She's like, "You can't be happy. Stop that. We were on this thing here."
Right. And they've moved on. I think that's another part of with me too, is that I get so emotionally invested in it. And I get to, with my son, I get to work through it. Oh my gosh.
Pooch has something to say.
I'm going to go put peanut butter in her little toy so that she'll spend time eating it.
Okay.
Hang on a second, okay?
All right.
Okay, thanks.
I wouldn't mind some peanut butter right now. Peanut butter in my refrigerator right now is dog peanut butter, so it's like a year past expiration date.
Dog
She's the only one who
peanut
eats
butter? Like peanut butter you've saved for the dog?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Because it's no longer fit for human consumption, but she seems to like it just fine.
It's delicious.
I mean, I feel bad, like maybe it's not good for her, but on the other hand, she eats rotten stuff off the street and seems to live through it. So I think that,
Well, and also like most
peanut butter that's been in the refrigerator.
Most expired food is probably fine.
Yes. That is true.
Which sometimes I have to make my they're like, "Oh, this says it expired yesterday." I'm like, "It's fine, eat it."
Yes. Sell by.
Yeah, I try to explain the difference between sell by and...
So,
all right. Is the pooch happy?
She's got peanut butter.
She's got peanut butter.
Okay. Yeah, so the problem of mom being more disappointed than kid over a kid thing is a big problem, and one I don't think I am alone in.
Yeah.
I think that's fairly... I'm often disappointed that they are not disappointed.
Right. Guys,
That's how bad it gets.
Yeah.
Is it just me?
Don't you want to do anything about this? Don't you want revenge?
Feel bad. Don't you feel bad? Don't feel bad, but feel a little bad.
Like have some feeling about it.
Yeah.
Yes, and I was, of course, always putting my kids in things with high hopes, and then nothing was coming of them. So there was a lot of disappointment for me over things that they just really had no awareness that there was an appointment to be dissed.
Yeah.
So
yes.
Well, that I think also goes into like how realistic should you be to your kid, well, and I guess to yourself about their chances at something, right? Like,
right.
Should we have been saying all along, like, well, you'll probably won't make the luge team. No, that wouldn't have been a good idea, but...
No, that is a hard thing to thread.
Oh, honey, you're never going to date in high school, so don't even think about it.
Lots of people don't get married till their 40s. It's fine.
Exactly.
Time.
You'll find someone someday.
And then sometimes when they are disappointed about something, it's like, this is beneath the disappointment threshold. Stop worrying about this.
Right.
Poor sinking of parent and child disappointment is
Seriously.
I guess that's hard.
a problem.
Maybe that's what Xanax
that's
is
not
for.
something to be disappointed on. Look at the big things I have to be disappointed. Carry some of this burden, will you, child?
Come on.
Well,
What are you doing?
but yeah, how do you do that of not raising expectations, but also not acting like, well, you'll never get that. You don't want to be that parent, but you also don't want to be the parent that says, oh yes, there's my 5-year-old playing, playing softball. He's going to be in the big leagues one day.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
There is a middle ground, but I don't know what it is. Yeah, but you want them to be excited. You want them to feel that, this is something worth doing. I don't know. I have not. Fortunately, I did not have kids who were real ambitious in those ways. But if I did, that would be really hard to know what to do.
Well, I've resorted to using the phrase, it's a learning experience.
There you
Do you say that to
go.
yourself also?
Yeah, try.
That is in the dictionary of lame mom phrases.
You're learning.
Yeah.
You're learning so much about dating right now.
Right.
You're learning so much.
I tend to say, this is how we learn, you know?
Yes.
So you made a mistake on Facebook and were embarrassed and humiliated. This is how we learn what to put on Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not comforting at all.
Yeah. But true, right? So maybe it has some value.
I think the value it has is my mother doesn't understand. I think that's its value. And then maybe she doesn't bring her problems to me. Yay!
You know, sometimes I wish I could have just been that mom that just really didn't tune into what was happening and just kind of glossed through life and, you know, like had my afternoon cocktail at 3 with.
Well, that may be the key. Alcohol may be the key. Just wine.
Load up before they come home from school so you're ready for anything.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, my end of the conversation is quickly disintegrating.
Well, there's one way to cope for sure.
Yeah, exactly.